is what it is. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, thoughts on Scarface versus Willie D convo about the Grammys. I was actually going to bring that up because that was piggybacking off of the second thing that 007 said. Did you hear about that?
I heard what Willie D said. Why, the Scarface comment?
Well, you know, they got a podcast together, so they talked about it straight up. And so the way the conversation went was Scarface, well, Willie D said, you know, he felt slighted, more than slighted. And so Willie D was like, Scarface just told him, like, he was like, what you doing this weekend? He's like, man, I'm going to go do some Grammy stuff or whatever. He told him, safe trip. And Willie D's like, you didn't really tell me, you know what I'm saying, exactly what was going to be going on. And Willie D's thing is the fact that Scarface was performing, a Geto Boys song. And he was like, now, we all know Scarface has his own, because Scarface was like, you know, I don't need the Geto Boys name, like Scarface's name kind of synonymous with its own, obviously, right? And Willie D's like,
he don't gotta shout out Geto Boys. He's famous.
Exactly. And Willie D's like, of course. His thing was, you were doing a Geto Boys song, and you could have done any of your songs, but the fact that a Geto Boys song was performed and he wasn't even given the call, that's why he felt slighted, especially if it's something about hip-hop and celebrating hip-hop 50. It's almost kind of like, I mean, he didn't say this, but I can see how he feels like him kind of being edged out of that part of the history. And Scarface was like, well, this is what I thought was kind of weird. Scarface brought up the fact that, well, I remember the fact that, you know, when we were making the song, you ain't even really like the song like that type thing. It's like...
Well, hold on. Now, hold on. I'm going to tell you something. First of all, I'm happy to hear that they have a podcast together. Now, you know they're from rival hoods.
Yeah.
And part of the issue was them being from rival hoods, and part of why Willie D left and insert Big Mike, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, they've had issues before. But here's what I think Scarface maybe should have said that I think might be a more a proactive way of handling it. Well, that might be a Geto Boys song, but you wrote one verse and I wrote the other three.
Well, he kind of said that. He kind of said that. Well, he kind of said that.
Well, I mean, it's just the truth. It's a 4-verse song. He wrote Bushwick's part, and he's got 2 verses on there for a reason. Mike, these standout verses on there are Scarface's verses in the Bushwick verse. As dope as Willie D's verse is, I make big money. I drive big cars. Everybody know me. It's like I'm a movie. Like, for as dope as it is, Mike, it's pretty big, Mike. It's 4th in terms of the epic nature of the verses on the song.
I mean, that just goes to show you the strength of the record. Now, I hear what you're saying.
We did a show where we had it as one of the 5 best rap songs ever, and there is a reason why.
And I think that the 3rd verse is one of the greatest rap verses ever.
And it is. It's a top 20 rap verse ever, in my opinion. So it's like, so listen to this. Well, the Grammy ain't giving you but X amount of time. Was Willie D really about to get some airtime on Mind Playing Tricks on Me?
But could he at least have gotten a call? Could he at least have gotten a call, though? You know,
this is where it gets funny, because it's like, man, Face is so big that it's kind of like, well, I don't really got to call Willie about that.
I think that and this was Willie's point, and I could see his point. He said, yeah, but it's a Geto Boys song, and as illustrious of a career that Scarface has, he's performing a Geto Boys song because a Geto Boys song is that important. Now, I see what you're saying. He's the author of 75% of that song, but that's still a Geto Boys song, and Willie D is still in the group.
Here's what I would tell you to be consistent and to give some props to Willie D that he would have a leg to stand on. And because we were just having this conversation about De La Soul and those big records. Well, Scarface's biggest solo record is Smile with Tupac. And that's really probably not the tone that wants to be set. His biggest records after that are records like Never Seen a Man Die. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's probably like Face's biggest stuff is probably not Grammy fitting outside of Smile, and not his notarized, because here's what I'll tell you, as much as I love Face, He never made a record bigger than mine, playing tricks
And
on
not
me.
many people have. But
And
again,
not
I
many
think
people
that,
have, which is why that song got performed. This is what I mean
but
about
that
Willie.
leans more towards Willie D's
No,
point.
that's why I just said
Yeah.
that's where I'm going to give Willie D some props, because here's the reality of the matter. Even for as glorious his face is, even for as impeccable as the catalog is, Mike, very few people have made my mind playing tricks on me, like in the history of motherfucking rap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aren't too many
And then
records
Face
better.
kind of flipped it on him like, well, you perform that song when I'm not around.
Like Mike, off the top of my head, the only records that I know are better are Fight the Power and Children's Story, and They Reminisce Over You.
Yeah.
Like off
That's
the top
exactly where I was gonna go. Everything else is debatable.
Everything else is up for
And
question.
even that in Trouble T. Roy is debatable. And you know how I feel about that record.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, how about this? I think Mind Playing Tricks on Me is better than Nothing But a G Thing.
Definitely. It's a top
It
5
might be
hip hop
better than
song of
Cream.
all time.
It might be better than Cream. Is it better than Cream?
Yeah, it is to me.
Right.
You know, and again, I think
One More
that's
Chance remix.
Yeah, I think that
Dear
speaks
Mama?
to. I think
Right.
so, but that's. I mean, that could
That's
go
the
either
type
way.
of song it is. That's what I'm saying. Listen to the songs we name, and it's like, no, it's like that with the record.
And I could see why Willie D feels slighted for being left out of that moment, especially when it was about hip hop. Like, it would be different if it was a tribute to Scarface or whatever.
No, listen to
but
what I'm saying, Mike.
it's go ahead.
You're not. I mean, I know you're hearing me, but I don't think you're hearing me. It's like Scarface is trying to tell Willie D in a nice way, like, fam, they don't even really know who you are. You wasn't gonna get that call.
But that shouldn't be. But see, I think
So
that
what was
Willie
going
D.
on?
I think Willie D
listen,
probably feels like if you got that call, you should have relayed that to me as a group member, and not to mention that Bushwick's no longer here. But Bushwick's no longer here. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
they all
that's
they
what
got.
I'm saying. So
it's just them two. And then when he asks you what you doing this week, you like, oh, so y'all might go do some Grammy things. Like, you know, you could have told me then. Like, this is how I would hope that it would go, right? This is kind of how I would do it, right? They call me to do the group song. You and I already have a podcast together, right?
Right.
We have a song together that's a classic. You asked me what I'm doing this weekend. I'm like, man, they want me to do Mind Playing Tricks on Me, man. You trying to roll? What's up? Because we get up there, they're not going to tell you you can't come in or something. Now, I'll be like, look, I don't know how much airtime they got. They got 1 million people on stage or whatever. But we going to, come out there. Like, and then
he wasn't
put
about
it on.
to get that type of airtime, Mike. It's Mind Playing Tricks on Me. You probably getting a verse.
You don't think that Willie D could walk out there? You don't think Willie D could just walk out there with Scarface?
What is that really doing? Because here's the reality of the matter.
That's letting him know.
Mike, when you think of the Geto Boys, who do you think of?
Face, I feel you, but what I'm saying is he shouldn't have to turn on the television and see what's going on.
See, but this is what I mean. Listen to what I'm about to say. I'm about to say this again. I'm not going to say this again. Well, they from rival hoods, Mike.
Well,
sometimes it just be like that. Like sometimes the way that you are, Mike, and the way that you move and how you've been dealing with somebody for so long, it still shows itself in the most inopportune moments. So I'm not saying Face is right. I'm just saying this is like, well, this group broke up originally because they was from rival hoods, right?
And they're doing a podcast together. So it's not like, they have
Right. So, but that's what I mean. Like, but the habitual nature of how you've done things for so long and how the business goes, Mike, it's like, well, why should I tell this nigga? They're not even going to let this nigga get on stage with me.
I think, and this is just my thought, right? I think that the fact that Willie D has been out here on YouTube and is very political and has said a lot of things that could be brash to the mainstream, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that some of those people on that Grammy stage, Questlove's bosses, said, look, Scarface can come, but the other one can't. I don't know that to be true.
Willie D has said some very problematic things.
That's what I'm saying. But I think that he probably feels that could be a possibility, and Face did it anyway. Now, if that's the case, I'm sorry.
Got egos, Mike.
Huh?
Rappers got egos. This is Face. Like, okay, so let's just call it what it is. Rappers got egos, Mike. This Face. Like Face ain't been attached really to the Geto Boys for the last 25 years outside of my mind playing tricks
I
on me. Let's
understand you,
just
but
keep
he's
it
attached
funky.
with
Let's
that
just keep
song.
it funky.
He's
Got rapper.
this ain't
Trying to
Busta
tell people
Rhymes.
these rappers are just like you and me. They ain't no different. They got now look at how you behave sometimes, and then put that shit on like 55 because he's a rapper who everybody knows he got an ego. He's Face, Mike. Like he's not just some guy. He's like the guy for like our region specifically. Ain't nobody don't nobody when we've been talking about Face on this show, Mike. How many times did we talk about the Geto Boys?
Again.
Now, if we talking that way, now how the fuck you think Face feel when the Grammys call Scarface about a Geto Boys song that they know that he pretty much mostly wrote outside of one verse from a guy who says some very problematic things? It's like, Mike, I have a business degree. Do people really understand how business really works? Now it's like, is it in best interest to kind of probably share that with Willie D in a more informative fashion? Like, yes, but like I said, you got rappers with egos. Stop thinking that your favorite rapper don't have an ego. Rock stars got egos. Rappers got egos. So your favorite rapper got an ego.
That doesn't make it right, though. You know what I'm saying?
No, but just understand what it is. Like, I just talked about how Diana Ross a diva. You just talked about, I called her super diva, because that's what she is. She know. You tell her to be like, are you a super diva? She'd be like, yeah, motherfucker. She's from Detroit. She'll still tell you, like, call you out your name and stuff. Now, we talked about Beyonce and the lack of access, right? Now, we done had Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston conversations, and we call them what? Diva. Yeah. I done took care of Whitney before, Mike.
We got to clarify that.
God bless her. God rest her soul. Like she the whole case. You know what I'm saying? Big shit talker. Okay.
Yeah.
Now stop thinking that these rappers don't behave that way. It ain't just the women that sing. It ain't just the rock stars. It's your favorite rapper too.
Let me get back to these super chats, because I know we were behind. I do want to finish with this subject.
You know what? One of my favorite things that 50 ever said that I thought was some of the realest shit. He's like, hell yeah, I fuck fans. Lloyd Banks, when he says hell yeah, I fuck fans, guess what? Your favorite rapper does too. And he's in the video pointing at 50. Yeah. It's like, yeah. Keep that shit real.
Jay Short with the super chat says Jay and Rock Nation were garbage for forcing a pregnant retired Rihanna to do that lazy Kanye ripoff performance, especially after Rihanna said she never wanted to do the Super Bowl. She kind of clarified that, I guess, what changed her decision. I forgot exactly what she said, but we all know what it was. Jay Short also said with the super chat, if Beyonce connects with her fans, could she do a Super Bowl halftime without performing a song that featured Jay? Because Rihanna could. Just saying. I mean, she's already done those things. She definitely can. I mean, she's such an electric performer, man. She could go out there. I've always said this. I think that Beyonce enhances her songs. If certain people made the same song she did, they couldn't enhance it with the performance to make it, what it can be. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody else makes Put a Ring on It, they don't have the dynamic performance to bring that song to life to the level that Beyonce does it. Bruno Mars does that too. Like, Bruno Mars will make records and then he could put it on stage and make the song bigger. You know what I mean? She can do those things.
No, see, this is what I mean. So imagine if Aaliyah had that quality with her types of songs. You feel what I'm saying? Imagine if Aaliyah could, like, put on the type of Beyonce type of performance. You feel me?
She
with her record. Right. It's like, God does things for a reason, though. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, she is the performer that she is. But it's like, that's why I keep saying, it's like when everybody goes to her, it's like, we keep talking about the performance.
Esquire with the super chat says, what's the A2HH take on the Face/Willie D ordeal? I know we're behind on the super chats. We're going to finish up that part of the talk. Because,
go ahead and knock out the super chat so we can finish.
Mad Max with the super chat says, Coop, relax. Life of Pablo's top 3 Ye album. Only My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Late Registration messing with it. It's better than a skip every song College Dropout. Wow. It's amazing how a certain generation views College Dropout. Leroy Green with the super chat says, you talk like Hit Boy smashed Kanye on the KDs, but out of 4 albums, ain't no big records, but you expect everything Jay does to be bigger than the blueprint. No, it's just not as good, man. Like,
First of all, okay, so let's just go to it. Where's the ultra black or spicy at on 444?
There we go. Thank you. There he is. Shut it down right there.
Stop that.
We going ultra black.
Go ahead, stop that. I'd like you to stop that now.
Marquez Davis says Brady was named the first all-decade quarterback over Peyton/Aaron for the 2010s. Yet he only has 3 MVPs and 3 All-Pros. It just seems off. Think he's the greatest.
Well, he only has 3 MVPs. First of all, wait, 3, right?
Is it only 3?
First of all, yes, it is. Because I'd like to name the people who have 3 MVPs right quick. It's an extremely short list, Mike. Would you like to hear the list?
Yeah.
The people who have 3 MVPs: Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. End of the list. That's the list. That's the list. The people who have won MVP 3 or more times: Brett Favre and Tom Brady have 3. Peyton Manning has 5. Aaron Rodgers has 4. Now, Mike, do you know how many times Tom Brady's finished second in the MVP voting?
About
6 times.
6. Okay.
He's finished second 6 times.
Do you think Jalen Hurts
Once
should
to
have won?
Mahomes, twice to Rodgers, 3 times to Manning.
Do you think Jalen Hurts should have won MVP over Patrick Mahomes this year?
No, because that would have been like giving Carson Wentz that MVP over Tom Brady when he got hurt in Game 12. Was he winning MVP up to that point? Yes, but you can't miss 3 or 4 games in a 16, 17-game season. You just can't.
That's fair.
However, I will tell you, if you actually look regular season-wise, I thought Joe Burrow had the toughest pullout because he dealt without having Jamar Chase, a new offensive line that wasn't blocking for him, and led this league in completion percentage, was second in touchdowns. So I actually think I would have picked him in a vacuum over Mahomes, but Mahomes is the favorite, and Mahomes had all the numbers. He led the league in passing yards. He led the league in touchdowns. You know, I just look at stuff. When I look at quarterbacks, I look at stuff as like, well, completion percentage, how the actual team is built. Like, people are not stating this enough. Kansas City had one of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines this year. Like, that man got blocking this year. It's like you saw it in the second half of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Jadarian
Like
with the super chat.
Hold on, Mike. The Eagles set the sack record. They didn't sack Mahomes one time. I don't think. Did they sack him? They got 1, maybe.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Actually, I don't even know if it was 1.
Like, because I think that time they tackled him, he was past the yard of scrimmage. So this is a team that literally just had the most sacks since the merger.
Yeah.
So Kansas City has an offensive line.
Yeah. Jadarian with the super chat says, I just listened to Nas Untitled yesterday, and actually very solid and strong 14 to 15 songs. Go back and listen. Okay. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, Mike, Jay was rapping after the death of his ego. The vocal inflection needed to reflect that. That is why I'm saying you guys only have a sonic tone for rap. Okay, I get the concern. Listen, you can do all of those things, and all those things can be true, but if it doesn't sound good, it doesn't sound good. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I get why he was doing it, and that's cool, but that doesn't... look, just like I said with the Who Killed It with Nas, I get what he was trying to do with the accent that he took on and the way he was telling the story, but it wasn't good.
Record not good.
Yeah, it is what it is. Geeky Love with the super chat says, peace. Thanks for the Dave tribute. De La Soul hits Saturday. Feel good. Yep, feel good. I forgot about that with damn, what's the group? The Gorillas.
Listen what you just said, Mike.
The Gorillas.
Listen what you said. I forgot about that.
No, because it was the Gorillas. It was a feature. Feel Good Inc. I know. Break of Dawn. Stakes is High. Me, Myself, and I Ain't No Good. Yeah, I mean, we can't forget Feel Good Inc. I mean, everybody knows that record when they hear it. Now, that hasn't been played at any of the tributes. I haven't heard it. Jay Short with the super chat says, Jay didn't respect the substance matter on, I guess, the subject matter on 444. That's why he didn't give the production and songwriting his full attention. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, Ready to Die, the album is overrated. New York Bias. Ready to Die, the album is overrated. Woo. Man, the heat up in here. Let me finish these super chats, Coop, because I feel like we super behind. Uncle Fred with the super chat says, question, have you ever reviewed a Kai album here? K-A? Kai album here? Have we ever reviewed a Kai album? Clarify for us, Uncle Fred. Dane with the super chat says, 444 is a good effort, but it's telling the whole Avengers Joe Budden podcast don't like it. That's telling. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't like to get caught up in other people's opinion. We got on the Patreon, and, you guys can click the link to our Patreon. We just played the album in relation to KD1, and we were playing the songs, and it wasn't one of those moments like, you know what, I slept on this. No, it just wasn't that good. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, top of the world. Sitting on top of the world. Talking about 8 Ball and MJG, better than Ready to Die.
No.
8 Ball and MJG, top of the world? No. Ready to Die, listen. I hear any of the qualms people have of Ready to Die, but when you listen to that album, it's just banger after banger after banger.
It is, Mike. It doesn't lose steam until Respect.
Mm-hmm.
What track number is that?
That's like deep in there. It's like 14.
Like 14.
Yeah.
Mike, there's only 17 songs on there.
Yeah. And 17 songs is a lot.
No, I'm sorry,
album.
16 songs, 17 records. You got the intro and then you got 16 songs. Mike, there's only 2 songs on there that's not at a high level.
I think the only downside of Ready to Die is the fact that some of the records sound more dated than others. But other than that,
you want to know what?
And that's not even really a bad thing. That's one of those things
now that you go back and listen to it, Mike, because it's so old now, it's like, well, I don't care that the song Ready to Die was recorded in like mid-93 and I Can Tell, and that Unbelievable was recorded like right before the album dropped, and I Can Tell. I don't care.
Well, see, this is the magic of Puff as a producer, too. He kind of grouped a lot of those songs in a similar range so you can kind of feel the growth. You know what I mean? Without really listening to the growth. Yeah. And you can hear how grimy 93 was in relation to 94.
Right.
Mad Max in the super chat says, the answer is Penny or Bernard King. All great. I'm sorry. He said, all Grant was Scottie Pippen. Who could shake you? Penny was like Kobe. Kid passed, and Bernard King, the best scorer I've seen on half court. Now, Scottie Pippen wasn't Grant Hill. And I say that respectfully. Now, Scottie did what he did defensively. But as an offensive threat, he was not Grant Hill. Grant Hill could be the number one guy.
Grant Hill in his prime was averaging 25 to 28 points a game, like in the old NBA, when it was like when the only person averaging 30 was Mike.
Well, see, all of these guys were in the East, right? And so when it came to all-star voting, Grant Hill was the starting small forward. That's what it was.
Not Scottie.
Yeah, it wasn't Scottie, yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Love
Scottie.
Yeah, love
Grant
Scottie.
Hill was going to be a better all-time player than Scottie. It's not even a question.
Yeah, Scottie ended up being all-time better, but at the moment, no.
He could do everything Scottie could do, plus he was a better scorer. It's like...
Yeah. Levi with the super chat says, found your channel after the Rolling Stones dropped their 200 Raps albums list. It's been cool to hear the passion you both have for music, and I've learned so much from you from your show. Can't wait for more. Appreciate that, Levi.
Hold on. Mad Max. See, this is what I'm talking about. Mad Max. Your young ass don't know nothing. Grant Hill did average 25 to 28 points. He did it for about 3 or 4 straight seasons before he got hurt. His first season, he averaged 19, and then after that, he averaged 24, 25, 26, 27. Go look it up.
Well, shout out to Levi. I want to welcome all the people who are just now, coming onto the channel. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you know when we're going live. I'm sure we got some new people since we, been covering these lists. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, Knick Knack Paddywhack or California Love. California Love is etched in my mind.
Easy.
Let's see. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, Run had DMC. Chuck had Flavor Flav. Face by himself? No. I mean, we're going to get back, because I think I'm almost caught up. We're going to get back on this Willie D Face thing, because I think there's a lot of different nuances to this conversation. And Jay Short with the super chat says, as time goes on and we see more of Willie D, I'm starting to see more of his perspective and vision in the Geto Boys, not just face, especially on Resurrection, which is their best album.
It's not their best album, but it's a dope ass album.
I always looked at Geto Boys as like the southern version of NWA, and Face is Cube. And yes, I'm finally caught up on the super chats. Appreciate all the super chats, and y'all keep them coming. But I feel like to some extent, Willie D is Ren, right? And
Correct.
Ren was raw with it, and that's what Willie D added to the group. I just don't understand why he just didn't get notified of what was going on by Face, and at the end of the day,
it should have been some notification.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I don't expect the Grammy folks to do that, whatever, or Questlove or whoever. But as the only surviving member of the group that's on that particular song, and like you said, these guys did something special together. They made a top 5 hip hop song of all time. So I think the guy who's on this song with you deserves a notification of what's going on. And even if he didn't get the microphone to spit, to be there either in the building or possibly on stage to celebrate hip hop for his 50th anniversary, I think could have happened. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, let's look at it like this. Should he have told him? Yes. But when you know somebody, when you work with somebody, and you choose to withhold information from them, there is usually something about them, their behavior, or y'all's relationship that we're not privy to that makes you do that. You get what I'm saying? So there's a reason. I'm not saying Scarface is right. What I'm saying is that no, that's between them. You feel what I'm saying?
Because I almost feel like he was told not to tell.
For whatever made him move on it like that, if you think that there's not a reason, Mike, you're tripping. You feel what I'm saying?
I feel like they were told to not include him. I feel like that. Because I don't see no other reason of why you would withhold that.
So maybe to save my man's ego and pride instead of, being like, hey,
yeah,
I'm going to do this, that, and the other. It'd be like, hey, well, I'm going to come too. It's like, well, they didn't, they said,
They said
right. So maybe instead of skipping over all that, be like, hey, I got to go do some Grammy stuff. You know what I mean?
Like he wasn't going to see it, though. That's the thing. Like, but Face was like, yo, you perform this song without me all the time. I don't think that's the same, though, in my opinion, but I'm glad they were able to work that out and talk about it like brothers on their podcast. But, that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. And, and I think if it were to happen again, I think it would kind of be handled differently. But that's a huge record. And not only a huge record for them, but a huge record for the South and a huge record for hip-hop. So Hassan Sykes with the super chat says, 444 is not Jay-Z's lane. That's not what Jay does. And you know what? I think that we keep coming up, or quote-unquote Hovengers keep coming up with all these scenarios about conceptually what the album's supposed to be and that, this and that. The bottom line is he doesn't do those things very well. And you know what I'm saying? Like, the things that he does do well are in line with why we hold him so high. And when he attempted to do something that was out of his, lane particularly, it didn't come across that well. And that's fine. But we're not going to sit here and act like it did.
So, don't we laud him for his versatility?
We do.
But so let me submit this to you. How versatile is he, though, truly?
I still think he's versatile. I think he made a wrong production choice. And I think
so this is what I mean about the versatility. And I'm going to bring this up with Big, too, right quick. Well, versatility isn't just about your flow and delivery. It's also about your ability to write different styles of material and have that material to be quality, has some of the material that you do best at. Everybody's got a pocket.
That's fair.
Everybody's got a pocket. It's like, no, Mike, like when you line Pac shit up, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no. You got a whole list of content and depth songs. You got a whole list of hit records, and sometimes those worlds mesh together. Keep Your Head Up being an example.
Yeah.
Dear Mama being an example. That's the content and the hit right there. Now, respectfully, when we talk about versatility, and we're talking about, because here's the thing, the integrity of writing the rhyme is different too, in regards to not having ghostwriters and a team and it being more of a specialized craft. Well, if this is more of a specialized craft, well, where is the songs that Jay and Big have that have the depth to them of a Tupac or Nas? Because that was always the reason why I preferred Tupac and Nas, and always said they were more versatile.
And
maybe not more versatile flow-wise on the mic.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is that no. Tupac can do Dear Mama, you know what I'm saying? And he can do I Get Around.
Yeah.
You feel me? Nas can do Life's a Bitch. Nas can do If I Rule the World.
You're right. And I think that we get so caught up in the versatility sonically that we attribute to that versatility to everything that the MC is. Where Jay-Z's versatility lies is his ability to sound good on a variety of tracks.
Right. But the variety
his versatility isn't really in the writing per se, because if that were the truth, he would have 5 to 10 storytelling songs that we could just go to at the drop of a hat. Big has 2 albums, and he has more storytelling records than Jay has in his whole career.
And that's why I hold Big. That's one of the many reasons why I hold Big higher, because Big does some things that Jay doesn't do. Storytelling being like number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of those.
I mean, when you look at the best storytellers ever, they're all dope MCs. Like it takes something different to be a great storyteller. Once again, Scarface, top of the list on that. You know what I mean? Ghostface, top of the list. Nas, top of the list on that.
Big,
Cube,
Scarface.
Big, Slick Rick. You know what I mean? But
yep. KRS-One.
And with all this material that Jay has, the fact that he is, top 3 on pretty much everybody's list, where he doesn't have a laundry list of storytelling records, and I could say the same thing for Wayne. That's kind of a problem.
Well, this is what I have to say. I'm going to say this again, and I'm just asking questions. Well, how versatile is he? Like, and this is what I mean, how versatile is he? It's like, well, if you were to pull up Jay's 50 biggest and best records, if you were to do a combination of the biggest and the best records, how many times does he leave the reservation of what's comfortable for him, which is the hustler's ethos? Sure. Like, how many times does he leave that hustler's ethos and just give you the record? Because this is what I'm saying, like...
Or the braggadocious, right? Like...
No. That's part of the hustler's ethos, is being that braggadocious, charming...
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many times does he leave that ethos and actually give you something more? Because what I'll tell you is that when he actually does it, it's actually some of his finest moments. So I know he's capable of it, but does he have the resume for it? Like, The Evils, for me, is him leaving that and doing something deeper. Like, it's tied into what he does, but it's way deeper than that. It has a depth to it. Deep. He dug deep.
I feel like he did that on Songcry too. He dug deep.
I was about to go to some of the Blueprint stuff. So if you actually look at the albums that we hold higher, it's actually when he does dig deeper. So it's not like you can't do it, but do we have evidence that you can do it enough consistently? Because here's the thing about it. When people be walking around, it's like, well, Coop, Black Thought's better lyrically right now than Nas. It's like, you didn't realize how many solo albums and solo verses Nas has kicked as opposed to Thought? Like, not being funny. You know, you know how much further along he is verse-wise for them being around at the same time. So
it's like it's literally like somebody saying, LeBron, with the amount of minutes that he's put up, and comparing him to somebody who's done half of that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Giannis.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like Giannis is better than LeBron right now. It's like, he better be. He's played half the minutes. It shouldn't be a conversation. He should actually be dominating him at every turn.
No, that's real. I was going to say, man, one of my favorite Jay records, and this is Jay in full braggadocious swing and hustler swing, is The Rock Boys. And you can't sit here and tell me just because, he's in his lane and doing what he does comfortable, that I'm not supposed to think that this record is leagues above a record on 444 just because he stepped out and tried to do something different. Like, no, this is where he lives and he does it great. And I'm not going to sit there and, I guess, diminish that to try to propel a record because y'all think he's doing something different.
No, this is what I mean about the versatility. And maybe and it does more reside on Jay's side with the questions of it than Big's, because this is what I'm about to say. So think about how great Meet the Parents is. Okay? And really think about it that in relationship to his catalog. And that's why I'm questioning what I'm saying. Like, well, how versatile? Really? Because it's like, well, do you think Meet the Parents is a top 25 Jay song? Because I don't.
I don't either.
Do you think it's top 50? Because I think it's borderline that it might be that.
I don't think so. And
right. So it's like, so when you tell your best story, it's not one of your 50 best songs. How versatile are you?
That's fair.